Hello everybody, welcome back to the Chensor Dynasty. My name is James Chen, your host here at twitch.tv/jchensor. You have reached the AskJCHENSOR portion of the day. We just finished talking about Dragon Ball FighterZ Season 3, and now we're just going to do a little bit of Q&A here with some people in the chat here. If you want to ask me anything related to the Dragon Ball FighterZ stuff, my opinion on things, or just comment on that, I will talk to you guys about that. Otherwise, just ask me anything that you want. Ask me anything that you want. I had a highlighted message here, I believe, from Darth Protoman. He says, theory, how about if the tournament is just an excuse for Capcom to show something else? We're talking about the MvC 2 20-year anniversary tournament. After all, it's Marvel vs. Capcom 2 to celebrate 20th anniversary at Evo 2020. Wouldn't this be the perfect time to announce a Marvel vs. Capcom 4 or something like that? Basically, I'm going to say, don't bet on it and don't set yourself up for it. I really doubt it. I super doubt it that it's some sort of crazy setup for future announcements on some crazy Marvel. No, dude, just don't, where's my Hawkeye, gift? Don't give me hope, like, just don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. It's Marvel. It's Marvel. I really doubt there's going to be any Marvel vs. Capcom 4 or anything like that. So, I have not talked about the Granblue OS issue going around. There is obviously this new tech that's existed in a lot of other games, but in this one exacerbated by the fact that it's got a block button, that the block button doesn't affect pre-block animations, but while you're in neutral or while you're actually blocking, the block button will trigger stuff. Well, what people found out is if you hold the block button, it locks out other buttons, so you can't do anything. So what you can do is you can do supers or specials by hitting the block button at the same time as your button. This is how I understand it works. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But if you do a special move and hit the block button at the same time as you do something, the block button overrides everything else and you do nothing. However, if someone does an attack and you go into pre-block animation, then the block button doesn't work and your button press actually triggers stuff. So you can poke at someone, do a move, hit the buttons, and if they counterattack, you automatically super them, for example. Or if you have a down special move, so you can low block and that has invincibility, you can actually just smack them for free. If they don't counterattack, you don't do anything. So there's kind of like this proximity guard OS thing that has existed in other games before. This is going to get patched out. I have no doubt this will get patched out pretty quickly. So I'm not even going to practice it. I'm not going to learn it. I'm not going to bother. It's probably going to go away pretty soon. Otherwise, the game is dead in the water. And if the game is dead in the water, Gung Ho will be pretty mad. And I think they have the finances to be able to fix it and patch it pretty quickly. I don't think we're going to have to worry about funding like we do for a lot of other fighting games when it comes to, not Gung Ho, Cygames. Cygames, my bad, wrong company. Cygames, we don't have to worry about that because Cygames, thanks to Granblue, is rolling in the dough. So I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. Do I think that MvCi, BB Tag, and Dragon Ball FighterZ failed as tag games? No, actually, Makix. I actually think that, and please let me know if I'm pronouncing your username right or wrong, Makix. I would really like to pronounce it correctly, Makix or Makix or something like that. I don't think so, because I think MvCi is a fantastic game. I think BB Tag is a fantastic game. I think DBFZ is a fantastic game. I think they all are really great games for their own reasons. And I like the fact that we're expanding the concept of what is a tag-based game, of a versus game, etc., etc. We don't just have the Marvel style. We have now this BlazBlue cross tag battle, which is just the wildest of wild. And then we have, for example, Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is a very different feeling game, and which is counter to what I was saying earlier, but that's because I'm selfish, because I just want to see a new mainstream Marvel game. Makix, okay, cool, nice. Like I said, MvCI, I've always thought is a fantastic game. I think the gameplay is great. Biggest weakness of that was the roster and the graphics, right? That killed it, and of course the fan vitriol to MvCI really ruined that game very early on, starting with all of the shill factor that everybody felt like a lot of the people who were enjoying the game were shilling the game. So that really hurt the game a lot, and the fact that there was no positivity around the game. Even the people who enjoyed the game couldn't talk about how they enjoyed the game because they were accused of shilling. You know, in some cases, some players, maybe they were shilling. But then there was a lot of players who genuinely just enjoyed the game, like myself. And people were like, no, you're shill. And then that kind of just like destroyed it, to be honest with you. Nutacon says, the commentators had an interesting comment that 3 assists, making DBFZ more crazy like Marvel, will allow players like Chris G to challenge Goichi and Sonic Fox. What other players do you think might thrive with these gameplay changes? Cloud 805 probably will be able to start doing some serious damage all of a sudden in there. I wonder if it's a game that even maybe Justin would try to get into now. There's a lot of players who can get in there. Maybe Clockwork will try to jump into the game or something like that. There's a lot of potential for people to try to get back in there. I don't know if it's too late because, again, we're living in this weird time where there's like 700 fighting games that are all amazing to play, and it's hard to spread yourself too thin. But, you know, that's kind of one of the reasons why I want to make it a little more Marvel crazy, because I want to bring back the Shady K's and the Clockworks and the, you know, Chris Matrix, Sanford Kellys, and these guys back to a Marvel-esque kind of game. I think it would be really, really cool to see. It probably not going to happen, but I think it'll be cool. So do you think the game Granblue is worth $65 with 12 characters on it, even less characters than MvCI? MvCI had a lot of characters, so I don't even think that was a problem. Shoutouts to Suz Ladies Killer. $65 for a one-player experience. It's got the whole RPG mode in there. It's got a lot of great training stuff. It's got a lot of really good tutorials, a lot of good information, and it's only going to get expanded on, right? So it's only going to get more on there. Now, are they going to, like when Season 2 comes out, are they going to try to do what Street Fighter V does, and they always offer package deals? Honestly, I don't think Capcom gets enough credit for how much they always make package deals every season. Every tournament you go to, here's a discount code for 50% off, you know, the game in Season 1. Here's Arcade Edition. Now you only cost $30 for the whole thing. Here's Champion Edition. Now it costs $30 for the whole thing. I really don't think Capcom gets enough credit for how financially kind they are to everybody who wants to get into the game, right? I tried to buy Dragon Ball Fighters on the Switch because I wanted to do some research, and then I had to buy like 2 seasons of DLC. I had to spend like almost $100 on that thing, dude. It was crazy. So, crunch, crunch, crunch. Sorry. I think it's fine, especially if Cygames is willing to do package deals like Street Fighter. I think it'll be fine. Would I rather have Tekken 7 Season 4 or Tekken 8? I kind of wouldn't mind having Tekken 7 Season 4 because I think Tekken 7's in a good place. I don't think we're quite ready for a Tekken 8 yet. Let's keep going on Tekken 7. Let's tweak it. And like I said, if they just throw in a giant system change loop in there or just do something a little bit crazy, I think it's fine. I think we can keep going with that. What Evo announcements am I predicting content-wise? Oh, that is... That's what I'm going to have to sit down and think about. How could one go about getting into Marvel 2 in the year 2020? What a wonderful question. I have no idea. I really have no idea. I hope someone in the chat actually knows that. Yeah, Clock is not working on Power Rangers anymore. He left the company. Thereyu. Shady K is still there, but Clockwork has left. He's going on to try to do a bunch of different things. Water Kirby asks, am I hyped for Animal Crossing New Horizons? I've never played Animal Crossing before. And Suz Ladies Killer, you will get the attention that you want, you crave so much. Shout outs to Suz Lady Killer. Suck my nuts, Suz Lady Killers. Suz Ladies Killer. I know it's weird whenever I make the joke, whenever I have to tack onto the joke, hope you know the inside joke, but at some point in time, it'll get to the point where I can just tell everybody that, and I don't think it's going to have to worry about it. What's the schedule for what you're doing this year? No freaking clue. Welcome to the world of commentary. We have no idea what we're doing until 2 weeks before events. That's the way it works. There's no official word on any event I'm doing. The only events that I'm probably guaranteed to do this year, the only one that I can purely, truly say that I'm 99.9% certain I will do is the Classic Tetris World Championships. Outside of that, nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. So this is the life of commentators. This is why it's hard being a commentator, because you literally have no idea where your next paycheck is coming from, because you have no idea what events you're going to do. I don't think there's going to be a Street Fighter 6 tease. I just don't. I just don't. And I really kind of hope there isn't, because I don't want them to ruin their own momentum with Street Fighter 5. I don't want them to tease Street Fighter 6. I don't want them to do that. So what are my thoughts on Smash Brothers Season 2 Pass? Dirk the Daring, Kunio, Bomberman, those are the 3 characters that I want right now. I want them to keep expanding, not on their Nintendo roster, but on the classic video game icon character roster. Dirk the Daring would be sick. If they just made it so that he wasn't affected by lighting, so he always looked like a flat 2D cartoon, that would just be the sickest thing ever, dude. I think that'd be super cool. Goku is from an anime, so they're not going to add him to it. Actually, that's a great idea, Waifu Hunter. Then I could just be like, suck my nuts, blah, type in nuts, and then that's it. And then we're good. We're good to go at that point in time. Shoot. I wanted to do something like this. I forgot to do something. Hang on, let me see. MvC4 maybe? What else did I answer here? Oh, gosh. Some people ask me, let's see, Granblue OS, tag games, DBFZ assists for Chris G, Evo announcements, how to get into MvC2, Tekken 7 or 8. Just writing down all the stuff that I've talked about, so it's easier for me to get the information onto YouTube and stuff like that. Animal Crossing. Schedule for 2020. Okay. Well, Hype Incarnate, I mean, it's not too bad right now. It's just 1 month, so it's just 1 month for Granblue Fantasy Versus. It's not too bad. But yeah, don't expect a Street Fighter 6 tease. Just don't. Smash Season Pass 2. What happened to giveaways, huh? You know what, Mr. Friday? I need to get back into the giveaways, but one of the parts that bothers me about the giveaways, and I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more. Oh, my personal stream schedule. Oh, that, yeah, I'm going to keep going with the schedule that I set up a while ago, so I'm going to keep going with that. But the giveaways. So here's the thing about the giveaways that's a little tricky for me. I've never limited it to country or anything like that. If you're in Europe and you won, I was willing to do that, etc., etc. What I found out, though, was that giveaways, especially sending to multiple countries, was very expensive. There was one time I did like a giveaway and I mailed out like 5 things. It cost me like over $100 to mail all that stuff out. It was it's brutal. So I want to do giveaways, but I got to figure out a way to do giveaways that don't destroy me in essence. So I need to figure that out. I need to figure out how to do that properly. And again, if you want to ask me a question, make sure you type at jchensor. Dawn of Morning asks, any tips on trying to create a community for a game? Specifically, I'd like to get competitive initial D arcade games groups together. That's really tough. Do you have a arcade where you have easy access to it? If you want to create a community for a game, especially one like Initial D, which is probably only for the arcade, the key is to create a consistent schedule. You have to have a consistent schedule regardless of whether people show up or not. You just got to keep doing it. One week you may have 2 people, the next week you may have 5 people, the next week you may have 8 people, back to 2. But you have to keep doing it on the same day, at the same time, so people can, on a whim, go, hey, you know what, I'm free. I'm going to go do that gathering that's every week. Or they can be like, you know what, I really enjoy that. Now I can plan my week around it. If they don't know if it's going to show up next week or whatever like that, they will plan other things and they will not be committed to it. The key to building any community is schedule and consistency. Schedule and consistency. Make yourself reliable to have that available as a gathering time. B Mikey P, my throat is hanging out just fine right now. See, it just took me one night's sleep. I'm good. A lot of I used to lose my voice a lot during commentary. It just doesn't happen anymore. I've just gotten so, like, my throat just, like, my throat is like Wolverine status these days. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. SoCal only giveaways. Sure thing, Mr. Friday. Regarding Street Fighter V, do I think more characters should be added? That is a really tricky question, Water Kirby, because obviously new characters breathes life into the game, and it's very cool to get new characters, especially when they actually turn out interesting, right? So last season, Honda, Poison, and Lucia were all fantastic additions. Gil is just wildly awesome and creative, and Seth actually looks really sick. I can't wait for Seth. I can't believe I'm excited for Seth. Like, I thought Seth was the most boring, stupid character ever, and when I heard it was rumors that it was going to be Seth, I was like, oh God, what? And then I saw Seth and I'm like, whoa, that character looks cool. Like, obviously that breathes life in the game. However, Street Fighter V has a crap ton of characters, which makes it very hard for people to learn the game. If you are going to be adding more characters, then I honestly do think Street Fighter V needs to set up some sort of guide on how to fight the characters. There is that little bit of thing where they tell you kind of what the characters do a little bit. I don't think anybody knows it exists. I didn't even know it existed for a while. I actually didn't even see it. I didn't even know. I've never tried it. I don't even know what information is in there. But they need to do something more with that, and what they need to do is they need to build it into training mode. When you pick an opponent as a training mode character, every character should just come with 10 scenarios to defend against them. Like, block this, or get away from this. Here's the mix-up they're going to do. Here's the kind of tricks that they're going to try. Here's the reset that they're going to do to you. Learn these kind of things. And it needs to be in training mode. It needs to be somewhere that people naturally go to already, not put into a tutorial section. That's one of the keys to the future of tutorials in fighting games, is to not build a tutorial section, but to have tutorials be a part of everything that already exists. When you play online, it should give you tutorials. When you're playing in training mode, it should give you tutorials, etc., etc. And if they can kind of fill that out a little bit, it might make it helpful. If they can do something like that, start adding more characters, because we definitely need more characters, right? There needs just to be a menu option where you're like, see all plus moves. And you go click it, and then with the character that you've loaded in training mode, it'll just be like, here's a plus move, here's a plus move, here's a plus move, here's a plus move. And then they just show you the values and stuff like that. You know, that's the kind of thing I feel like they need to do. Now, that's tricky, because if they program it badly, whenever they change a character's frame data, suck my nuts, Water Kirby 1964. If they ever change the frame data, then they need to change that information. Unless it's automated, unless there's a way that it automatically goes and finds what the frame data is and generates what shows up in that list programmatically. If they do that, then it's good. If they're manually putting in the moves that are plus and minus and stuff like that, and so whenever they change the frame data, they have to do it themselves, that's a problem. That is a problem. So it really just depends on how they want to do it. But of course, I want more characters. Of course, I want more characters. But it's just very, very hard to implement. I still super wish every fighting game allowed players to pick DLC characters in training mode exclusively. That would be sick. That would actually be really, really cool. I don't know how they could get away with that. Make it so that if you pick them, you could never set them to human. Like, you just can't set them to human. You can set them to record, but you can't set them to human to limit what you can do, maybe. I don't know. There's just, like, not a lot of good ways around there. Oh, actually, it was B Mikey P who gifted the sub to Water Kirby. So suck my nuts, B Mikey P. So, yeah. Let's see here. Just have an opt-in limited roster mode, which limits both players to 8 or, characters until people are ready for the full roster. You can do something like that as well. There's just got to be a lot of ways to do that. There's got to be a lot of ways for people to set it up so that you can have a way to learn the characters. Even if you limit the roster, that doesn't help you, because if you go online, does that limit you who you fight against? Right? You don't want to do that, because then you might not even run into anybody. You might have a really hard time finding any matches online. I never thought of that. You can let people mess with DLC characters through Ginyu body swap. I have never even thought of that. Consider my mind blown. That's amazing. That's awesome. Oh, man. There's got to be a way to do it. There's got to be a way to do it properly. There's got to be a way. You know what you could do? Actually, what you could do, and this is actually probably pretty easy to implement, is for the characters that you don't have on DLC, give you an hour limit on them, a 30-minute limit per day. Whenever you get to the next day, whenever the server does its day reset, whenever it decides to change days, that time resets, and you can use the character again for another hour. So you can test a few things for a while, but once that hour's up, the character's gone. So even if you do use the character in versus mode, you only get him for an hour and you can't do much with him, right? So if you just do something like that, I think that would actually be kind of cool. I think that would be kind of neat. When's next Tekken stream? I've gotten to A3 now, anime lover, and I've been doing it with Forrigan still, just because I've been too lazy to decide what new deck that I want to set up. But I got to A3, so I'm doing okay. If you make them free in training mode, then they're essentially free for offline, kind of, because then people can play back and forth, set it to human, set all the rules to the regular round rules, and you can kind of get like a lot of experience with the characters. And I think that's what they're just trying to avoid, to be honest with you. It's probably why. Give a preview week to everyone before the actual launch. Yeah, I mean, stuff like that. There's a lot of options that they can do. So, for sure. I'm genuinely concerned for people on a budget who have to spend money to lab against characters. It's rough. It is. It's absolutely rough. And fighting games are really, really kind of unfortunate the way that actually is set up. There needs to be better ways to do that so that you can train against characters without having to buy all this new season pass stuff, because that stuff adds up quickly. Or the companies just have to be good like Capcom and just constantly discount all of their season passes with codes. And I like the way Capcom does it, because you'll see those if you watch the tournaments, right? Now they just need to add that to their freaking game, right? While you're playing the freaking game, a little notification announcement should pop up and say, go watch this stream for a coupon code for season blah. Like, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you do that? Man, how would I react if a new Punch-Out game were to have guest characters like Balrog, Dudley, and Steve? That would actually be hilarious. That would actually be cool. I mean, technically, Mike Tyson was a guest character, right? I mean, if you think about it. But that would be hilarious. And in fact, Punch-Out on the Wii had Donkey Kong in it. So they had guest characters already as well. Fight Money was a weird situation. So Fight Money, obviously the game was created with the idea of being free to play. You could totally tell that the game was probably supposed to be free to play for like 80% of its development. And then all of a sudden they changed their mind at the end. Then when they had already established Fight Money to get characters for free, probably too many people were actually getting characters for free, and they weren't making any money as a result. So they had to completely tweak the way that Fight Money works. It's such a disastrous kind of system right now. I almost would rather just have them take it away and just be like, look, we're sorry, this didn't work here, you know, or something. I don't know. It's just that it's not a very good system, to be honest with you. And the way Fight Money worked out really does kind of make me sad. So, yeah, PC players could cheat to get Fight Money. It's actually true. There was a lot of exploits out there. But welcome to the PC. Welcome to the PC, which is actually an argument for and against PC Master Race for gaming. You know, if you're the kind of person that likes exploiting that stuff, it's a good thing. If you're someone who's empathetic to developers, it's a bad thing. So it's a weird situation. Yeah, they really needed to do a lot more with the Fight Money, or figure out better ways for you to gain Fight Money, like in versus mode, in rank mode. Like rank mode shouldn't have been that little Fight Money that you gain. I don't know if you should be rewarded for the higher ranks you are or anything like that, or because then you can smurf it, you can rank boost people and stuff like. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. Zenny. Zenny. Fight Money is so hard to grind for because they realized that if Fight Money was easier to grind for, they can't make any more money on Street Fighter V, right? Because that's the thing, is they do offer all those discount packages. So few people are buying Street Fighter V now as a new product. They're not getting the base for people to continue spending more money. So that's why they keep creating the costumes and stuff like that, because it costs them money to keep developing these characters. And they're not making any money off of game sales, not by any stretch of the imagination. So they have to figure out a way to do it. So season passes, costumes, etc., stages, they have to bait people into buying money. Otherwise, they can't keep developing these things. It's not working out, I don't think, the same way that a lot of other games are, like, you know, MOBAs, where people just buy costumes because it's just part of the nature of, you know, having these games and spending money. And, you know, whales out there, there's not enough content in the game for whales to fund the people who don't spend money, right? There needs to be more of a whale factor in Street Fighter V. There needs to be more completely superfluous things that cost ridiculous amounts of money, and just costumes and stuff and all these weird things that you can buy in the game, so that people who have too much money can just be like, I'm gonna buy everything because I love this game. They don't have the whale factor. A lot of these other games require whales to fund the game, right? So I play Final Fantasy Record Keeper on my phone all the time. I have basically never spent any money on this game, but I know people who have spent lots of money on this game. Lots of money on this game. Same thing for Tekken. I basically have never really spent money on Tekken. I know people who have spent lots of money on Tekken, right? And same thing with League of Legends. There are those guys out there who just spend all the money and they fund the other people. These games, free-to-play games, are designed so that the few basically sponsors the many. It's very socialist. But, you know, the thing about it is that Street Fighter V is not set up that way properly. Honestly, it's just not set up that way. And so, unfortunately, they don't have a system by which the whales can fund everyone. And in fact, even things like the Champion Edition being released with all the costumes hurts their own money-earning capability from whales out there. So I've always wanted an across-the-board, multi-game, possibly mobile-enabled Zenny account for gameplay achievements unlocks across all Capcom games, so you could invest across their catalog, then spend how you see fit. Do you think something like that could ever work? That's a fantastic idea, B. Mikey P. I think that's great. I think that's a great idea. Oh yeah, they had Zenny before. They had Zenny as the premium currency, but they took that away, which was weird because that was a way for people to spend their actual money on things. And I don't know. It's like the whole thing is, I don't know. The whole thing is just kind of weird. It's weird. There just needs to be better ways for Capcom to make money. But honestly, one of the most important things is having the ability for whales to fund everybody else. That is how the free market, that is how free-to-play market works. And it's a lot of the things that Japan doesn't grasp, right? Except, I don't know, Final Fantasy Record Keeper seems to be doing great. I haven't seen any slowdown on that game. They've never stopped making content. It seems like people still keep getting into it, playing it, and everything like that. So it seems to be pretty successful so far. But that's the whole idea, right? You need to have, if you're setting up a free-to-play model, you need to set up a model by which people who have money can spend all the money on you. It's the way that it works now is that people, this I felt like was exposed by Kickstarter. There are people who have money who are willing to spend a lot of money to help support such a thing. The whole idea of supply and demand and finding the proper price point where the X's connect is a very outdated, archaic philosophy now. Sales should be based off of what people are willing to give you, because now things can be sold digitally, so now that you can actually process that. You don't have to have one price point across every store anymore. You can just say, hey, that's why you have collector's editions for a lot of things. Collector's editions are a way to exploit this kind of model, but this model needs to be expanded and become kind of the majority of how people do things in the world now, you know, for goods, not for food, for example, but for goods. When you buy something, there should always be different price points for it. Should be the base price point that you get all the basics, and then here's all the stuff with all these crazy things. But you need to give people a ton of options. That doesn't work for brick and mortar stores. That's the problem. Brick and mortar stores cannot survive on this concept, because then they would need 3 of every tier, but they can't be guaranteed which one they're going to sell, etc., etc. So that's a problem. Gaming doesn't need to fall into that category, because gaming is such a digital medium now that we could definitely go into more of the Kickstarter model, so that whales can actually support video games. And I truly believe that's the way to go. I really honestly believe that's the way to go. What about an SF game, possibly an RPG, used to financially facilitate SF core on the back end? Are you talking about Granblue Fantasy Versus, B. Mikey P? Because if you beat the RPG mode in Granblue Fantasy Versus, you apparently get a code for like $100, $200, $300. Someone even said $500 worth of like currency for Granblue Fantasy on mobile. Like, the people who play the mobile game will buy the fighting game to beat the RPG mode to get all the free stuff for the actual game. Apparently that's a thing for the game. So there you go. So apparently that already exists for this. And so yeah, I mean, Cygames is already doing a lot of very smart things with this. A lot of very, very smart things with this. Free. Yeah, see, you did that for Heroes of the Storm just to get a skin for Overwatch. It's a smart thing to do. If they did that, that would actually be pretty genius. If you bought Devil May Cry and it gave you a bunch of fight money for Street Fighter V, man, Capcom needs to they need to get on the ball for this, dude. The problem is, if they do that, well, see, all the people who buy Devil May Cry who don't care about Street Fighter will sell their codes to people who do, and technically there's enough of people who buy Devil May Cry who don't care about Street Fighter that it probably could hurt their sales on Street Fighter stuff. So that might not be the best idea. That might not be the best idea. There's probably a decent way to make it work, but discount, right? Buy Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry comes with a code that is, you know, like you get $50 worth of fight money for $10, right? Then the person's spending $10. Then Capcom's at least making the $10 for that fight money, or Zenny if they ever brought it back and stuff like that. I think that would be kind of interesting way to do it. That might be an alternate way to do it. You also got level 20 or 30 on Mortal Kombat Mobile to get the Injustice Scorpion skin for MKX. See, there you go. So there's a lot of things they could do, a lot of things to consider and for them to try out. So in any case, if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and call it an end for this AskJCHENSOR section. However, if you want to play some Granblue Fantasy Versus with me, God, I can't even do that because I have to finish the training mode stuff. All right, I'm going to switch over to Granblue Fantasy Versus. You get to watch me do the tutorial so I can unlock lobbies, so I can unlock online mode. So, oh my God. All right, that is definitely one aspect of what Cygames did that I am not in approval of. There should have just been an option that says, yes, I know how to play fighting games, go. And you just can go there. Anytime you lock something like that behind there, you just need to have that option that says, yes, I do this. Let me access things. And if I'm lying, well, I'm only hurting myself. They should definitely always put that option in for every time you try to lock things behind. Like, if you did have a limited roster for people, there should just be an option that says, open up the whole roster. Yes, I know what I'm getting into. So, anyways, let's go ahead and call it a night here for the AskJCHENSOR. Thank you guys for tuning in on YouTube. If you are watching this, make sure you follow and subscribe to UltraChenTV on YouTube. That's youtube.com/UltraChenTV. You know what? Give me your ideas on how you feel like you could make, you know, fight money and stuff like that work, or an idea that people could whale themselves on for fighting games in the comments below. Make sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you guys are here on Twitch, don't go anywhere. I'll be back with some Granblue Fantasy Versus after a break and some ads. Thank you guys for tuning into the Chensor Dynasty here on twitch.tv/jchensor. My name is James Chen, and I'll see you guys in a bit.